Dear Tucker Carlson, people on my street who went to my schools were recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with predicate acts and untimely death, if various ways, and other natures of predicate acts on and off Trinity College. When I was a kid, and when I was there, like 2004, 2005. In 2006, leading up to a Connecticut District Court case in Connecticut, these are also people roles with those predicate acts as roles with predicate acts in that case. These are also people roles on and off the World Trade Center, on off Washington, D.C. It's clear as day, used remotely since founding, pounding drums. And both these, what is simultaneous is consciously being worse than obfuscated, prevented, and torture was one of the things. More importantly to the breaching method, than the war itself. In other words, no one spoke for America. Locations, areas, and states, our campuses, they've been making female leaders, male leaders, so they could defend that. Because they can't defend themselves with their takes on what is a leader and afford mandated law followed simultaneously. Because then the language of the simultaneous properly will be revealed. We have rules, crimes, predators. Since before the World Trade Center attack, before I was formally involved with Trinity College as a student, people from Central Connecticut State University and child campuses were involved with fact-cheating, nature-oriented predicate acts relevant. Consider them as identity thefts and frauds. Timed instances when I was going to walk around a corner. Like, for example, they make an exception to when they play stupid at courts every day. Increasingly, that is a maintained outcome, /S. They have complete remote possession of the individuals of each branch of government, individually grouped in together. The branches of government switch and forge names distinctly and non-distinctly and simultaneously, for example, relative to how they're getting over on the identity of value progression that is actually science. The identity of simultaneous nature. That is an identity of scientific value that real science /S is obligated to use, to discern the value of. Because there are group simultaneous natures. And every individual is a distinct simultaneous nature. /sequence /simultaneous nature. But rather than get into that, which is observable. See, the sciences have theories offensively, affront to practical logic, to honest logic, increasingly needing to self-value. What Marbury versus Madison means, being and having been worse than obfuscated. Real justice must satisfy all appearances of real justice. Connecticut has been forging and switching names interbranch with the Afghan female and male leaders that cannot defend themselves because they are criminally foreign influence roles as victims too, child abuse since they were kids. The little girl, I forgot her name. She's involved with uses of the cafeteria where people are timed are going to be walking. Placements in classrooms are recorded involved through time with connected falsified police reports, identity thefts and frauds methods that invest the medical families and the other interbranch into needing to self-value kids having been and being attached to fake locations of relationships to other people and natures of relationships to other people. They're making the kids from the grammar schools need to self-value for time reasons, all that. Lies and illusions told to them as predicate acts at middle school, though, and at locations. After what was done and sustained through the grammar schools. There are recorded uses of it through time, actually recorded. All the processes of interstates. So one of the reasons racism is on the narratives of everyone. HH, effect, treatment, nature, sickly, distinctly can be discerned when we simultaneously discern where and how. Fake scientists speak for locations that are overtly criminally foreign influence relative to since before cars. Since before our founding parents were born, the torture method, the fact, treatment, nature, identity, slavery of everyone method. Otherwise, you would speak something that would be sensed because they had all the laws against what you could say. Crazy. Extensive. So if anyone says anything, they're going to sense it. And the identities that it was remotely through are going to sense it, like England's. Little England was being used remotely. Little Spain. All locations, areas, and states found themselves in a semi-ancient trap that knew that any leader, no matter how powerful they get, they would have to entertain locations, areas, and states, sciences, informal, informal, premises treatments, sequence treatments as criminal insidious natures of fake integrity, criminal insidious natures of positive treatments, and of negative treatments and collusion against that which causes positive value nature progressions, action natures, and only will demonstrate negative value nature progressions, action natures, acts like predicate action natures, like criminal insidiousness natures, wrongdoers, until we have mandated law followed, its law, what is really truth. See, we want us to have debates about truth, leaving out sequence true first, including at the local, area, and states levels. They've been using time simultaneously too fast, too slow, then needing to hide lie progressions. This method recorded how effectively kept and keeps the leaders of the prisons and of the private, like say you're not gonna you get things they tell you, oh, go speak, go to this community service, CRT I believe it's called too. Community resources training or whatever it is. No, critical race theory. See, they put the theories into sciences to keep. Science doesn't use theory. Science is use what is true always, exceptions, exception nature, and demonstration of the same thing. Boxing. Exceptions and exception nature are in demonstration of how one identity of simultaneous nature is in demonstration of how and why we are to discern it as a exception nature. For example, 3 branches of government. The people that run the prisons on off the state prison officers. Those are exceptions. In other words, they leave people in their hands. What if they made a mistake in case? They have to have those people be able to speak. Not just to be able to speak. Be able to speak short words and or long words defended when honestly. See, but honestly is prevented free speech. Short words and increasingly the long words. So you increasingly have people that are only capable of short words and subjects treatments, leaving out what is simultaneously, which is increasingly valued, but is increasingly valued to the identities of towns, of the identity of ground locations, titles, names, areas, states, criminally foreign influenced, delusions wrought, rules, crimes, predators, styles, methods, being and having been. People speaking for and having spoken for the economy, leaving out and having left out how it was involved with the torture of our founding parents, relative to their slavery, relative to how everyone was sickly, distinctly made a slave by the worst in colonization method. It makes people blame other things halfway. When it's like, in other words, understate things. Like, oh, it's the Justice Department's fault. This is a vertical and horizontal database organized crime method. That was first all locations, then collusion with it, then right back to that through other motivations, natures, needs, interests, styles, needed to hide the same value progression, needed to self-value collusion with the illusions at all locations everyone was forced to roll with while everything was being sustained that way. Now one has trained each day. Vaccines. So follow mandated law, meaning The definition of it, in other words, when someone asks to complain about child abuse, is acts and sequence true. You respond to that. And you don't hide how consciously, too. They know they have been stacking fabricated audio and video into databases. And or they've also had it stacked in them for them. That's how we have the complete incompetence state to state. It's the environment. Well, we have to agree it's the environment. It's nature. Honesty shows that we're supposed to have a nature conversation with here. How are you going to discern the difference between positive treatments that are really criminal insidiousness and truths used for lies? We know that happens. See, we have people pretending things are they're A or B, criminally, and with delusions. Nothing is binary alone. Even the smallest finite detail has two discernible identities of possession of over it. And that, too, has two identities of possession over it. Which science, now I'm getting ahead, it sounds like theory. I mean, it's unproven theory, but it's also, I proved it in my videos. I spoke about it. Sequence true. Before the order of the finite, the order of the finite, the order of the active, the order of the progressive. It's already here now, one way. And identity, where identity has a semi-nature relationship to where and how the individual is semi-nature, not just to the group and species. It's also individual, independent from that. Because when an individual is positive to their complete identity, that all the identities of your body are a semi-nature relationship to it, you are simultaneously a positive semi-nature relationship to its identity. Just like if one part of your body is positive onto itself, it's positive onto your entire complete it's a semi-nature. It's positive onto your complete nature where it is a semi-nature, when it is positive onto itself as a complete nature. See, but this is rough. These are things we should have been speaking about, but instead we have theories into sciences. We have uses of racism because of their roles with uses of Korean families and of Afghanistan families and of wars and of conflicts that are juxtaposed increasingly in the self-valued per not just per the known reasons, per one's using town offices, Wethersfield town offices, for using where they live, involved like Robert Schedule, and there's a Dawn Schedule. I never had a conversation with her. She tried to pretend the other once in Middletown with one of the places involved with doctors and police forms and courts and foreign and domestic involved with drugs and medicines crimes with kids. Falsified police reports, identity thefts and frauds also in the form of falsified police reports, fake letters, fake emails, wire crimes with the news media. They are not legitimately hiding what's on off these campuses connected with the foreign and domestic. They are not, so they also have more corners in people's names. I have to speak about others. They want me to do that so they can play the other sensibilities out there. So respond for their uses of the corners of the streets. If you want an example, take the corner of Church Street and Main Street in Old Wethersfield. People I only know in context where they sought me out to confess, demonstrate, and record roles with all different kinds of natures of federal crimes. That were also illusions used to hide lie progressions that were distinct from but used to carry over and make more people involved with the lies and illusions, lie progressions from when I was in grammar school. See, there's also a Ray Reynolds involved with Connecticut State Police and with Vermont State Police, and with New York State Police involved with the selection of the Wethersfield Police Department police chief, and with the Wethersfield Police Chief's family, his daughter, and her friends, and people associated with her through Central Connecticut State University, formerly, with racketeering and juxtaposed natures of child abuse and worse than war crimes rolls through uses of little fake rat mobs that go with the military that's involved, attaching little kids to fake locations, fake words with themselves, their family members, and their neighbors. So the Schedule family is involved with the DeMoro family on Valley Crest, and there's other houses. I forgot their names, but these are people all along Walker Hill, and with the corner of Walker Hill and Wells Road is involved with like all kinds of natures of real estate crime, insidious things that sheriffs and that their friends and their family members and people are involved with, and their cover-ups of that already. This is how they keep victim predators. We're not supposed to forgive, to just forgive. We're supposed to forgive them because that was used remotely leading up to the World Trade Center and since. Heather Hansen confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, recorded. A whole bunch of other people confessed, recorded, demonstrated, confirmed. Heather Hansen and people with the name Joe DeMoro, Intercities, are involved with predicate acts all along Wells Road and on and off Paul Manafort Drive, Central Connecticut State University, and with with and as CCS, CNN's sources, and with and as Fox News sources, and with and as their roles with the people who answer the phones for them, run their Facebook pages, hiding what their sources were involved with, how that was used remotely. So there's a sick tactical pseudo-education that rolls with it, are fit to and as rolls with what knew that they were going to be blaming other things, others themselves, for the real cause of negative value, nature, progressions, acts, and natures within American history. Because they were replacing what we could discern and with the proper answer /s, using correlation. But instead they have theory offensively. Claim scientific. So they could keep the wrong outcome /s at all locations, areas, and states with formal evidence reception that increasingly is increasingly self-valued roles different from the overt insidiousness, natures or styles of logic that are also in collusion with them. 2, uses of the same, fake integrity of sciences, posture, manners, and then how they can't have manners without self-valuing posture fronts, everyone speaking through others, and the involvement of the lie progressions. So they prevent people short words, and with the name switching, so there's no one to, real quick, they'll say, in other words, they attach me to fake words. WFSB and Embassy Connecticut News. They have some sick people over the phone. They admit they know what I'm talking about, and they're simultaneously pretending other. Fix the fake news and get me a response. Give me someone to respond to. Since you guys brought the child offender campus in it was already involved with the New Britain and West Hartford before the World Trade Center attack. People involved with my high school criminally and my middle school, and with my grammar school. They were recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, confirmed, coaching kids, and the family members of deans and of teachers, and the ones I had years ago. In other words, I only saw Joe DeMoro 2 times on campus when I was in grammar school. I don't even know if he was in my grammar school class. There was insidious things between him and people involved with CCS, Central Connecticut State University, and the intelligence community that make little instances where people make things, say other people's names, in other words, true, but it's not a conversation people were having. And their descriptions of their classmates' behavior interbranch are not honest. They can't be. They're criminally foreign influenced. They're little delusions, predators, victims. If you want me to treat them as victims as they are, follow mandated law. So I don't have to explain how your little kids are little victim predators with you, Connecticut Answer Branch. I didn't ask you to use my names criminally and other people's. And you guys are over there, oh, this is a crime, that's a crime. You guys have been involved with database racketeering, involved bad other things and uses of it. Your friends and locations involved with sequence shifts since you were kids. If you can't admit that, follow Mandela. Tell me who denies this. That's a crime, /S, increasingly, where since before the World Trade Center attack, you won't let me and others tell on the courts, members, and the military, recorded with the foreign, recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, involved with offensive evidence reception racketeering, and then more to hide that. Sequence shifts, trying to pretend to record things, say things after the fact. I already caught you, mother. Excuse me, your honors. I caught you. Since founding, you can't speak for logic. You can't speak for Hartford, Connecticut. You can't speak for New Britain, let alone New York City, let alone the connections. So let's go. Let's get these judges onto paper. Rally! Please, Your Honor. Your Honors, Fox News, let's get the Connecticut judges onto paper, respond for all the different police reports, because they're also recorded involved with wire crimes with the Wethersfield police that come to your house, and they make statements. There's also a guy who made a statement about the name Chet Casper. And that's the guy who said he was going to, and with the one, that's the guy also. Some other kid yelled, who's involved with the people who answer the phones for the Wethersfield police through years, and the ones years ago, a Smith family. There's some guy tied to them, and there's Dr. Dingleberry and or Dr. Dewberry, and one's at, what is it called? Only one of those Dewberry type names. But I saw both those names on the webpage of Institute of Living on Hartford Hospital's campus. They have roles also with the private lawyers with that campus and people, and with students and programs with the students with UConn, involved with predicate acts with their teachers, and with identity thefts and frauds, with database reception racketeering, medical racketeering, and with physical delusions, and as rules crimes predators, and as all kinds of hearsay uses, slanders, anti-spots, and timed uses of that. And with overt criminal enterprises, plural, also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, involved with the names on and off UConn, and on and off Central Connecticut State University, and on and off Trinity College, also on and off elections locations in Wethersfield, and on and off Wethersfield interbranch locations like the State Judicial Branch, and like the state prison offices, and the locations next to it being and having been used remotely criminally through time, and as the ones that have been using the departments criminally, and with timed things, instances, and names uses connected and sustained. Not one has changed. So make sure I'm responded to, because they replace what's recorded over the phones. That's what happens when you have judges caught. And with police forms. They replace what's actually recorded over the phones and online with fabricated audio and video transcripts. So make sure I get a response for who denies this. Fox News judges, please, you guys are obligated. Follow mandated law. Have these places follow mandated law and give up their individuals and names and sequence true, or have the places then charged. We'll do it as a project online, over the internet. Make sure I get the names for the Wethersfield police for parents who use their kids for the roles with the predicate acts with the news for them too, and how they're interbranch. That's not going to go. We're not going to separate the subjects like that.